The Odyssey has become one of the most decisive movies of 2026, with casting decisions and dialogue choices being doubted and the film's accuracy to the historical data in question. The movie already feels destined to fail. And look, I'm just gonna say it up front. This was good, like genuinely good. But it's not perfect, and we're gonna go through why. First thing I want to talk about is the runtime. This movie is long, like a full 3 hours. But honestly, the runtime never really hit me. I wasn't checking the time once during this, and that's already a good sign for a story this dense because there's a lot going on in the Odyssey, and somehow it never really feels bloated. So let's talk about the cast and some of the main performances. First off, Matt Damon as Odysseus. He was phenomenal. He carries the entire film on his back, and he needs to because the whole story is around him. For such a star-studded cast, he takes up a lot of the screen time. The whole story is pretty much based off his psychological unraveling. Anne Hathaway as Penelope, also excellent. She brings this quiet strength to the role that I really appreciated. She's commanding in all of her scenes and probably feels like the most authentic Greek character on the entire cast. Probably my favorite performance, honestly. Robert Pattinson was great as well. He played a dark, interesting villain here, and he honestly looked like he had a lot of fun with this one. Zendaya I thought was also pretty strong as Athena. Obviously not the most historically accurate, but she's a talented actress who didn't have a ton to do in the film, but was good in the little portions that she was in it. Now, not everybody landed for me. Charlize Theron as Calypso, unfortunately, just didn't do it. The character just wasn't explained at all or fleshed out whatsoever, and kind of felt just shoehorned in the movie to move the story along. Another one that didn't really land for me was Tom Holland as Telemachus, but that might just be a me thing because, to be honest, every single time I look at him, I just see Spider-Man. And honestly, the same can be said for John Bernthal in this movie. He didn't have a ton to do, wasn't in it a lot, but I just look at him and see the Punisher. Maybe I'm just excited for Brand New Day, who knows, but yeah, those guys didn't have a ton to do and didn't stand out for me. So the main theme of this movie is surrounded around Odysseus' guilt for what happened in the Trojan War. This is a guy who is haunted constantly by what happened at the Battle of Troy. The film keeps calling back to it over and over, and it frames that guilt as the root of basically every single one of his problems in this movie. The actual journey home to Ithaca I thought was done pretty well. The giants fight scene in the forest was awesome. The giant monster set pieces were shot beautifully as well. Genuinely some of the best visual sequences I've seen in a while. It's visually stunning and the action is engaging. And then we have the ending, of course, where Odysseus returns home to Ithaca, and I thought the sequence was perfect. It was total Laura farming in the best way possible. Odysseus comes back not as a king, but as a beggar. Nobody recognizes him. He's wearing a hood. You can't see his face. And then at that final moment when he's the only one who's able to string the bow and shoot it through the axes, I mean, it's just perfect. You felt the tension in the room. You felt everything. It was just perfect. It's satisfying, and that's exactly how you tell a good story. He then goes beast mode and absolutely solos everybody in the room. I think he took out like 50 dudes, honestly. Mostly with just a bow. It's an amazing action scene. Speaking of said action scene, that's gonna segue me nice into the big problem I have with this film, which is Tom Holland's character, Telemachus. He's kind of a bitch, honestly. He doesn't do anything really important. He tries to go and look for answers about his father, doesn't really get anywhere, returns home, was training throughout the movie at some parts. You were kind of seeing that he could learn how to fight or kind of knew how to fight, but when it came down to it, he offered absolutely nothing in a 1v1 with a dude who also didn't know what the hell he was doing. It was just terrible. His character was a bitch. I don't think it was very fleshed out, and I think it was a bit of a stain on the film. There was a lot of discourse online about whether this film was going to lean towards the woke side a little too much, whether it was going to mess with the source material in ways that wouldn't sit right with people. And honestly, there are a couple of creative decisions in here that reflect that concern. First up, Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy stood out. She had no significant role in the film, honestly probably didn't even touch 5 minutes of screen time, but you noticed it. And then there were rumors that Elliot Page was going to be playing Achilles in this film, but that is not true. He ended up playing a character named Sinon, who had a major role in the film, but definitely was not Achilles. There wasn't too much that actually took me out of the movie. I think the witch sequence with all of the Trojan soldiers, where she turned them into pigs and was kind of going on a bit of a monologue about men and being intrusive, I thought that was a bit much. But other than that, there weren't too many things that stood out to me. It didn't seem very woke, and it seemed like they were just trying to stay within that world. Not gonna lie, the dialogue was pretty whack too. It was tough to get used to at first. Everybody had American accents, but eventually I got used to it. Another big criticism I have for the film was Calypso. The Odysseus and Calypso dynamic. This is a relationship that's supposed to carry real emotional weight in the myth and in this film, and it just isn't explained well enough. There's no real connection developed between them on screen. We're kind of just told that this thing exists between them, and we're just expected to accept it. I guess that's part of why Charlize Theron's performance just didn't really land for me. She's working with a character that's underwritten in terms of relationship building. The film just didn't have time for it, but it honestly needed to. He kind of just spawns back in Ithaca, and we have no explanation. That leads me nicely into Ithaca itself. The city just isn't developed. We never really get to see the society Odysseus is fighting to get back to. We don't see how people actually feel about the leadership. We don't get a sense of what's actually at stake back home beyond that the suitors are bad. For a story that's fundamentally about getting home itself feels a little thin. I'd say the pacing overall was decent, not flawless, but decent for a 3-hour movie covering this much ground. There's a lot going on here, and for the most part, the film does juggle it well. So where does the Odyssey land for me? For a film that's shot beautifully, tells an engaging and for the most part tightly told story, but lacks storytelling depth and some creative decisions. Honestly, I'm giving the Odyssey an 8 out of 10. Probably my movie of the year, but there's still a lot to come out. This is an ambitious film from Nolan, real craft with some solid performances from big tier actors. I don't think it's his best movie, but I don't think it's his worst. And I'm very curious to see how this movie finishes out at the box office. I don't think it's gonna touch $1 billion, but if it goes north of 600 million, I wouldn't be too surprised. Let me know what you guys think of the Odyssey in the comments. Is it a hit or is it a flop? I'll see you in the next one.